I was at Walmart in Kamloops, BC. This girl literally would like following me around in Walmart. Like wherever I would go, she would come and like stand right next to me and start checking. And then she'd stare at me and like wherever I'd go, she'd follow me. Like wherever I'd go in public, she'd follow me, right? And this happened with multiple women. During the winter, I went again to Mexico, right? Because I was like, okay, let's go back to Mexico. So I go on vacation, and I'm staying at this hostel, and I go for breakfast, and this beautiful girl walks right in my direction. She smiles at me and sits right next to me. I'm like, okay, interesting. And starts smiling, and I'm like, I started a conversation like, hey, where are you from? She's like, oh, I'm from Portland, but I just came from Hawaii because I do sailing and I'm a sailboat captain, and I was really into sailing, right? Like I wanted to sail the world, so I would always watch sailing videos. I guess So this girl comes and she's just trying to seem like a very interesting girl. She's like, I'm writing LSAT and I want to go to law school. And I told her she was beautiful. So I'm like, hey, do you want to? What are you doing? Do you want to go to the gym? Oh no, sorry, to the beach, to Mexico. So I'm like, do you want to go to the beach? And she's like, yeah, sure. And when I go to the beach, she just stare at me, right? Like she stare right in my eyes, like, and just give me like stare down. So this girl, she goes to the beach with me one day, and one of the things she would always say is like, tell me a story. Like she wanted me to open up to her. She's like, tell me a story, tell me a story. And like when I would tell her a story, like she pulled out a notebook and she started writing things down at the beach. And I'm like, dude, what the fuck are you doing? You're making notes? And she's like, no, I'm writing a book, so I just want to write some stuff about you, and like I want to write about you in my book. And I'm like, I was so stupid. I'm like, okay, fair enough. I didn't know she was a fucking spy. So she starts writing shit down, and she's like, writing stuff. And so anyways, one day we're sitting at the beach, and she's like, tell me a story. So I tell her a story about my father. My father, when he was injured, he was working, like he was still employed by Magna. He was coming off work when he got injured. This lady at his work, she just got promoted to management level, and she called him and she said, we're gonna have to cut off your benefits because you're not really, like, you've been here for too long or something, or you didn't come back to work, you're injured, so we're gonna have to cut off your benefits. So my father told her, and she said, like, we'll give it to you for another month, but after that month we'll cut it off. And during that month she got fired because she fucked around with something else, and then nobody ended up canceling his benefits, right? So I told her that story. I was like, this lady tried to like cut off my father's benefits, and God punished her and she got fired, and my dad still has his benefits. After I tell her the story, she's like, what's your dad's name? I'm like, why? It's like first time a girl ever asked me my dad's name. Like never in my life a woman asked me my father's name. I'm like, why do you want to know? She's like, I just want to know, what's your father's name? And I'm like, oh, his name is Muhammad. And then a few days later, my dad gets fired from his job. And he calls me, he's like, oh, my job just fired me. I'm like, oh, okay, that's weird. Then she's like, okay, so tell me some story. So I tell her another story. When we were new in Canada, we lived in a bad neighborhood, and some crackhead lady was yelling at my mom, and my mom slapped her. And then she tried to attack my father, and like she tried to accuse him of like even though my mom slapped her, she tried to accuse my father of hitting her, and she like hit herself and gave herself a black eye and like tried to frame him for a crime. But my father knew this laundry mat guy who was his friend who arranged the place for us, Khalid Mahmood. He ran a laundry machine, not a laundry, like a dry cleaner, right? He had a dry cleaner. And he knew a lot of cops. Cops would go there to dry clean their clothes. So when my father ran into this issue, he told him, and he called his cop buddy, and his cop buddy got rid of the entire case for us. Like nothing, nothing happened. No charges, nothing. The woman couldn't charge my father, nothing. It was all cleared. So I told her that story, and then she's like, what's your mom's name? I'm like, what the fuck? This bitch asking me my mother's name now? And then she's asking me for my mom's pictures. She's asking me for my father's pictures. She asked for my pictures from childhood. I I just thought this girl was fucking weird, but she was so hot. I was like, okay, whatever. Yo, what picture you want? Like, I'll send them. No worries. My mother's name is this. My father's name is this. So, anyways, the dude who owned the laundry machine, my father tells me, like, a few days later, his laundry machine got shut. Sorry, not the laundry machine. The dry cleaner got shut down because he was leasing the place from Walmart. So Walmart told him, you know, we no longer want you. You gotta get out. Then I went back to Canada, and this girl told me, she's like, oh, I want to come visit you. And I was like, are you sure? Like, you're in Portland. It's kind of far. So she drove from Portland all the way to Vancouver. It's like a 5 hours drive to come see me. So she comes to Vancouver. We hang out there, you know. Then we go back to my place at Kamloops. She was like eager to go to Kamloops. She's like, no, I don't want to hang out in Vancouver. I want to go to Kamloops. I was like, okay. And one time she brings like handcuffs with her. You know, and then she's like, I like to be tied up, and I want you to choke me, and I want you to hit me, and like I want you to be aggressive with me. And I have proof of all this. I have the text conversations that I have with her, right? So I got evidence of everything. So you know, she's just trying to get me to do fucked up shit in bed. She'd be like, you know, when we're doing it, like it feels really good for me, but I may ask you to stop, but I don't really mean it because I'm really enjoying it. So when I tell you stop, I don't really mean stop. So you can keep going. But only stop when I say the code word pineapple. She was a honey trapper. They hired her to send her after me, right? And they were trying to get her to frame me. And they hired an American girl because they were trying to get me to go to the US. Because in Canada, if a woman frames you for sexual assault or something, max you get is like 2 years. In the US, you get life, right? You can get life. You get 25 years. So then the American chick comes back, and she's trying to convince me to go to Portland, and I'm like, I can't go to Portland, like, because I'm during school, I can't go. I'm like, I'll come visit you in the US after I'm done with my semester, because right now it's like super busy for me, right? Like law school, I'm still having a lot of readings and stuff. So she's like, oh, okay, I'm getting a job in DC. So she's like, I got a job in DC. I want you to come to Washington DC after you're done with your semester. So she gets hired by this company, Oceana, and she got a job with them. Her name was Amanda Stapp. I'll post her pictures and everything with me in BC and in Mexico and everything. And Amanda Stapp told me her grandfather was a federal judge who went to Georgetown, and her grandmother was a lawyer. And she kind of hinted that her dad was in CIA, or I don't know if that's true. But like her grandfather was definitely a judge. She came from a legal family. And her family knew that she was coming to see me. Her mother knew she was coming to see me. Her aunt knew she was there. Like she had an aunt in Vancouver. We went to her house. Like her aunt wasn't there, but like she had access to her house. We went into her house. I didn't want to stay for too long because I didn't know who this person was, and I didn't want to be at some random person's house with this girl. So anyways, she was trying to get me to go to DC. Like, she's like, oh, please come to DC. Like, it's going to be so good. I want to cook for you and this and that. And like, I want to act like your wifey and blah, blah, blah. Like, full honey trapping, right? And I was like, why is this good looking girl, this model looking chick, coming to visit me, this Packy, all the way from Portland to Kamloops? Right? He's driving for fucking 10 hours from Portland to Kamloops. Like, once she drove for 9 hours from, I don't know if she claimed, like she's like, I drove from Portland to Kamloops. That's a 9-hour drive. For me, like, I mean, come on,